I think oftentimes we think of alcoholics and drug addicts as homeless people with a brown bag under a bridge somewhere, but that's not accurate. It's me, it's your neighbor, it's your friend from church's daughter, it's your cousin, we all know somebody who has struggled. Really early on in high school, probably about 14, 15, I was a little bit younger, and I started drinking beer for the first time.
Addiction knocked on my family's door when my son was very young. He was probably 14 the first time he had a beer at a family wedding. Like so many, he snuck around and asked his cousins, can I have a sip? Can I have a sip?
The concept that my boy could be an addict was a foreign concept. I didn't think it was possible. He was the captain of the football team and homecoming king and planning on attending law school, and we just knew we were going to practice law together. And in my mind, he would end up, having kids, and I'd be helping raise his grandkids.
When my son was sick, he had a brain disease. But people would come up to me, people who knew my son had watched him grow up, and they would not ask about him.
I totaled 3 vehicles, I got arrested on multiple occasions, I spent a couple months in the hospital.
And I'll never forget, I remember him telling me vividly many times, Dad, if I had known I couldn't stop, I never would have started. We were unable to find the tools to save him. Now the good news is there is great reason to have hope. I know today that the chemistry of my son's brain had changed. We could have used TRC back then.
TRC saved my life. I mean, literally. I didn't have any options and I didn't have any money, and so I went to TRC and I did a face-to-face interview, and I got in a few days later.
TRC is wonderful for that, instant access to detox.
We don't like to be uncomfortable, and addicts don't like to be uncomfortable either. And the withdrawal process is awful. And that's why TRC exists.
The heroin made me feel like I was dying. The Xanax really could have killed me. And so that's why it was so vital to go to a medical detox that knew what to do.
If you love your loved ones, and I'm sure you do, you don't want them to suffer. This disease tears apart families, it tears apart individual lives, and it tears apart communities.
We have a huge need for detox facilities. It is essential for our city and our community.
We have to protect funding for addiction services. Issues related to substance abuse need to be addressed by substance abuse experts. Sometimes it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but recovery is achievable.
1 out of every 5 adults in Oklahoma experience a mental illness event each year. The lost earnings, according to these studies, are $193 billion annually just because of these various types of mental illness. 65% of all the child abuse in this state, these studies have found that they're caused or contributed to by addiction and substance abuse. We know that the problem can be reduced. We know that for every dollar that's invested in trying to help the problem, the state of Oklahoma reaps a 4-time return on that. That's called return on investment. The title of this article it tells it all. Economic toll of opioid epidemic, $1.3 trillion a year. To every Oklahoman business, it is a significant economic cost, and that's just an additional reason why we've got to do something about this enormous crisis in the field of substance abuse and addiction.
So TRC is wonderful. My son has been there, and he's doing well today. I always like to say.
Once I had a couple years sober and I had done well in school, I started to ask my husband and my mom, what if I went to law school? I used to have this dream that I wanted to go to law school. What if I did that?
We help people go from what seems to feel like something impossible to giving them hope. And we start that off medically.
Now I just started my 3rd year, which is my final year. In May of 2022, I'll graduate. In July, I'll take the bar.
Choosing to walk in the life of recovery means that you have to not just change what you do, so stop doing drugs and alcohol, but you have to change everything about your life. And TRC, the Recovery Center, makes that possible.
There's a critical point when someone is suffering from addiction and they're wanting to get help, and you need that instant access, and so often it starts with detox. Unfortunately, the beds are full more often than not.
One of the prongs of our campaign is
to build a new facility that will create 72 additional beds.
the additional services that are provided in there are just as important. The services are not just medical, we have family services, we have outpatient counseling, inpatient counseling.
I wouldn't be a law student, I wouldn't be a mom or a wife or a daughter or a friend or any of the things that I am today if I would not have gone to TRC.
When it comes to addiction, when it comes to substance abuse or mental health, it affects 1 out of every 4 of us. It looks like you, it looks like me, it's our friends, it's our family, it's our coworkers, and it's our children.
There are so many important charities, but this one in particular has touched my heart, and I hope you'll listen and keep your minds open and help me in this very important cause.
We need your help. We need you to get involved with the Recovery Center. We need you to open your mind and see how you can help us to help people like me so that other people can succeed and become doctors and lawyers and successful members of society.